Hello?
Hey girl.
You guys will not believe this.
No, I don't want to touch on.
Told you guys I fall in love fast.
The look on your face, and you're like, ooh,
Very healthy to have female friendships.
and
Yeah, I do want
completely
to get married
ghost
again.
me
And I
on
love
this
that.
effing
So finding that
island.
balance
Still
of I
desire
can
to
have
get
the
married.
hand
Super
where
Or
I'm
like
really
get rid
strict.
of
having
toxic
Wasn't
sex
people
with
ever
a
before
really
person
in
doing it.
pain. And part of it
Welcome back.
to three-way call.
with Britt Fallon Star.
I am so excited for today's guest, our very first guest. She is an intuitive health practitioner and she was my energy mentor. Welcome, Tyrzah.
Hey everyone, so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hi, thanks for coming on.
Yes, we're so excited.
Yeah, so we would love it if you could just start with let us know who you are and what you do, kind of what brought you into intuitive healing.
For sure. So, my name is Tyrzah, and I have been working with clients for the last 3 years to really heal on a holistic, as a whole person level. So, I work with clients on supporting them with physical symptoms, and I help them with functional nutrition, supplements, herbal medicine, some traditional Chinese medicine, and then we also look at the energetic and the emotional roots to their physical symptoms. So really looking at the whole person. So I've been doing this for 3 years, and I started doing it because of my own personal story. And I realized that for my own health and for my own well-being, looking at all these pieces are so important. And I feel like in today's society, we kind of just like go to one person for one thing. Like we go to a doctor for physical symptoms, you go to a therapist for emotional. Like we kind of categorize ourselves when we're meant to look at these things in conjunction and how they play into each other. So yeah, my story, I grew up in a household where we didn't talk about emotions. We didn't say sorry to each other. We didn't know how to deal with our emotions, right? And that's not any fault to my family. It's just how they were raised and how I was raised, and it's just patterns, right? Within generations. And how my suppressed emotions kind of manifested externally is I dealt with or experienced a 10-year long eating disorder. So disordered eating. And I, yeah, I kind of just went through the motions of life, like having this thing being such a prevalent thing, but I was in such denial. And I just used food to cope with everything in life and to cope with my emotions. I also used drugs and alcohol very abusively, and also use relationships to really like help me feel better. And I was involved with a lot of toxic relationships. So my life was like really crazy 10 years ago. It was very, very different from what it is today. I think that connecting with my spiritual health was kind of the thing that pushed me into find healing for my eating disorder. I was living in Costa Rica for 4 months. I was doing something for my school there. And on my last day, I was on a beach and I was just by myself and really just like soaking it all up. And I learned so much there, and that's a whole other story. But as I was sitting there, I heard a voice, and it was like, your life is going to change when you get home. And that was my first like interaction with clairvoyance or claircognizance, is like hearing a voice that isn't yours. So you can call this universe, God, whatever you want to call it. That was like my first time that I was like, whoa, that was weird. And when I got home, my life did dramatically change. I broke up with a 4-year long relationship. I started going to therapy for my eating disorder. And through therapy, I realized that food wasn't the problem. It was my relationship with myself and how I was coping with my emotions. And diving deeper into that, I learned, why my patterns in relationships were coming up, why all of these like subconscious things that we are not taught to pay attention to kind of came up. And that's how I got into meditation. And I started working with our energetic centers, which are our chakras. And that really catapulted my healing because all the things that I experienced were tied to my emotions. And once I started healing all of these emotions, what people don't talk about is when you do that, your body actually can start to feel safe enough to feel all of those things, and your physical body can break down because all of those things could have happened before, but your body was trying to save you and make you feel safe. So what I experienced was missed periods. I had really crazy heart palpitations that like, yeah, it was like a whole thing. I went in the hospital a couple times for it. I got severe acne. yeah, lots of physical symptoms that some of them TMI, but like lots of things happening. And I went to doctors and I was like, hey, what is happening with my body? All of these things like just started happening within the last 2 months. And they said, oh, you're just a woman, it's just your hormones, it's natural, like you just have to live with this. And I did not accept that for myself. I'm like, hell no. There is a reason, there is a root cause to all of these things. And that's why I decided to learn for myself. And I started studying natural health. And I learned about our organ systems and how they function and how our body detoxes and really integrating the energetics piece that I learned before and with the energetics that are taught in learning naturopathy is traditional Chinese medicine, right? If we think about acupuncture and what traditional Chinese medicine does is we work with the life force energy within our body, which we call qi. So I really integrate all of those layers. And during this healing journey too, I've always been fairly psychic. I've actually done tarot card readings for people for like over 8 years. And yeah, and I think that tarot is it's psychic channeling. You just kind of use a tool so that it becomes easier for you. And I kind of just like started adding cards into my client work because I wanted to get to these like emotional roots and get them to open more and share more and dive deeper into that. And I started to get like messages of what was coming up. I would feel sensations in my body. I started picking up on the other person's energy. And, I felt things and I like knew things that they've never told me and I kind of shared with them. So that's kind of why and how I started involving energy work into my client work because it's so important to look at the energetic and emotional level and not just the physical. And same with physical, I also don't always give healing sessions, energy healing sessions, without providing some take-home stuff to do with your nutrition and herbs that you can, have a tea with or something like that to really support your physical body because they go hand in hand. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years, really, really enjoying it. I know that I definitely needed to go through all of those lessons and all of those things, and even my own hardships with my health. They were really, really hard at one point, but I know that I needed to go through it so that I can first share my story and people can feel like they're not alone in experiencing what they're experiencing and to be able to teach other people what I learned. And I don't feel like this integration of energetics and physical health is really talked about a lot. I think it will be, but it's something that I wanted to create myself. I saw no one else doing it and I'm like, well, I need to do it. I think that's my calling. So, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I agree too, like that connection with everything. Like when I hired you, I was like, something's missing. Like something is missing in my practice, and I feel like I was pulled to this. I was pulled and drawn to you, first of all, your energy. And I just could feel like it was the energetic part and then once I was working with you and like started working with my clients in that way, I was like, this is it. Like it felt connected. And I was like, this is exactly what I was missing.
Love hearing that so much.
Britt, I have a question for you actually. How did you find Tyrzah? How did that even come about?
Instagram.
Instagram? And
Instagram.
were you searching for
Um,
someone like her, or you just,
Right,
or
honestly, I think I followed you because I was like wanting to connect with other women that were like in a similar field.
oh,
And then I think you posted a story with like some music that I liked in high school, like A Day to Remember and all this
oh,
like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that music too. And we just started talking and
yeah.
then yeah, I really got inspired by your work and then we just kind of like started chatting on Instagram and I think it was like 4 years ago. It's been a
Yeah, like
while.
we like I felt very connected to her like right away.
Yeah.
Like it's
wow.
one of those things where I could just like feel it. I was like, yeah, I like this girl. This girl and I are
Mhm.
gonna get along.
That's interesting. 4 years. Wow. It's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, I feel like so just to kind of explain how I am energetically, because I feel like it's such an interesting space. I don't know a lot about it, but my friends that are really spiritual and into chakras and healings, when they talk about it, I'm like, oh, just tell me more. But then I'm also very like but I'm a data-driven girl at the same time. So for women who do value data and science and like those tangible results, who may not know a lot about it, who might think it's like woo-woo, can you kind of explain it in a way where healing feels grounded too?
100%. And I totally understand that perspective because I was exactly the same. And I feel like too, if we haven't experienced energy, how could we know about it and feel it, right? It's something that like if you have a specific experience and you're like, oh, I get it now, it kind of clicks in. But I like us to like just think about when we were younger too. If we, let's say two people in a room just had a big fight and they like, it was a big blow up like an hour ago. But if we walked into that room, we could feel that something happened. Even if we didn't look at their face, even if they weren't in the room anymore and we just entered that room, we're like, something happened here. I don't feel good. Like there's that saying that we have like tension in the air. That is a saying for a reason. We can literally feel that. Emotions are energy, right? If we think about, you can actually look this up too, but if you Google emotions in the body and look at like heat, a heat gram, it shows you where in your body you feel certain emotions. Like anger is very chesty, anxiety is very whole body. Like there's actually a heat gram, I don't know what it's called, but it shows you like where in the body you're feeling certain emotions. So, anyways, emotions are energy. And so that when we're younger, we're really tapped into energy, right? We could be around a family member that we're like, I don't feel comfortable around them. There's no reason why, but our parents are like, give them a hug, go say hi. And you're like, I don't want to. It's because we could actually pick up on that a lot when we were younger. And as we go into school and all these systems growing up, we're taught to think with more of the logical mind. But when we were a kid, we thought very intuitively and very emotionally, right? And I feel like as we've grown up, it just kind of got trained out of us a little bit, but it's really easy to tap back into because it's an innate part of us. And on the science side, we always look at energy when it comes to medicine. So if you think of our nervous system, which is our brain, our spinal cord, and all these nerves that go out in our body, we measure that through our HRV, so our heart rate variability of how our nervous system is working and how it feels in the very moment. It's like an actual number that we're given that shows how our electrical systems are going through the body. Electricity is energy. If we think about physics and chemistry in high school and the things that we learned about it, right? Or like rubbing two things together and you get like a negative and polar side, like that is also energy. We're just not taught about it and how like our body is energy. But we also, there's other things that we can measure like with our like an EKG or a ECG, whatever it's called, for your heart rhythms and your brain waves, right? We measure energy because our body has bioelectric signals all of the time. It's just not talked about in more of that woo-woo way. So I'd like us to do an activity for your listeners as well to kind of play with energy a little bit more. So I'll explain it first before we do it. What we're going to do is we're going to put our arms out like this, and we're going to put one palm up and one palm down. You want your arms like fully stretched out and fully extended. So they're kind of like more tension. And what you're going to do is you're going to close your palms and open them and close them and open them as hard as you can, as fast as you can, like this. And then you're going to flip them when you feel tired, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to do that as long as we can. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to explain the second part. Okay? Are we all ready to go? Okay, ready? Put your hands out and go. So we're going to open them, close them, open them, close them. We're going to switch them, move the hands around. Okay, and as you're doing that, we're going to keep doing it until we're really tired. Keep going, keep going. You want to feel like your forearms muscles get really tired. Keep doing it. What we're going to do after is we're going to put our hands together like this. And you can close your eyes if you want, but you want to see if you can feel like a subtle ball of energy between your hands, okay? And it sounds woo-woo, but I want to see what you pick up, okay? Keep going, keep going. How's everyone feeling? Are we almost done?
Feel the burn.
I know. My grip is terrible.
Okay, okay. And I think we can stop. And then I want you to put your arm or your hands together like this. And you can close your eyes if you want, just to pick up on a little bit more.
Palms facing forward. That way the audience knows.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, your palms are
Your palms
together.
facing each other.
You're facing each other, coming towards each other. And I want you to see if you can feel like a little ball of energy between your palms. And you can move your hands a little bit. I like recommend bringing your hands up and down your opposite way. And you can kind of feel something at your fingertips a little bit more. So what this actually does is opens your energy meridians in your body, and your hands emit energy very strongly. That's why we always talk about like healing hands in life, like holding someone's hand, like it really has like a healing energy in it because we actually have so many openings between our fingers with energy. So you can like physically feel a ball. How did everyone feel doing that?
Oh,
Good.
crazy.
I feel
Tingly.
Yeah.
like mine's like a basketball. Like I just want to take it and like bounce it. Like it's like bouncy.
This
Yeah.
is incredible. And you explained it so well because I work with a lot of women who struggle with depression. And so we do a lot of mindset work, but taking it to that healing from within would really, I think, benefit a lot of my clients too, girl. So I'm soaking it all in. Thank you again for being.
Yes, of course, no worries. But yeah, that's one way that we can kind of feel energy, right? If we talk about feeling energy and tapping into it. So I believe everyone's has psychic abilities and intuition, and everyone can do energy work. Like I think Star, you're in, like you help clients with
Mostly
physical health.
nutrition and
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
fitness.
Yeah, like you can apply this work to your clients too. I think everyone can do it. Before I even got certified in it, I did the exact same thing. I learned that the things that I learned in my certification was very similar to what I was already intuitively doing.
Mhm.
Um, but I digress. That's like a whole other conversation. But it's really cool to see and to feel within our bodies that energetic vibration that we give out. And it's something that I totally get. We want to put like this logical mind on it. It's hard to do that when it's something we can't see, right? And I think that's, if we think about wind, right? Like if we didn't know, or like when we can't see what we can feel it, it's very similar, right? You felt that between your palms. It is there. It's just harder to talk about and harder to believe in when we can't see it. Just like if you think about universe and God, like that's why some people don't, right? It's because they don't see something. And because
Exactly.
we're taught to think logically and we're taught to believe what we can see. But when we were kids, we thought so intuitively and we picked up on energies, and yeah, we're naturally like that.
You know what I love? Same for animals too, because when we were talking about this, my dog is like very intuitive, and when I was with my ex, it was a toxic relationship. And even when, like, before we would get into fights where we would start yelling, but even before, like, when the tension was getting higher, like, he would start barking, obsessively barking, and he doesn't bark. So it's like he knew, like, it would freak him out and then it's like when I'm sad or when I'm crying, he's coming up to me and he's like laying on me and cuddling me. Like he knows, he can feel my energy.
Yeah, animals are such gifts and they're such healers too in themselves. But yeah, it's like if you go to a party and your dog loves everybody, but then your dog goes to one person and it's like, oh, I don't know about this person. You're like, should I hang out with him? I don't
Yep.
know.
Yeah, I'm listening to him, that's for sure.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
something so important I think about the science and the data part is that just because we don't have the data or we don't have the study on it does not mean that thing does not exist. We have tons of, especially women being like more intuitive, I think, of the genders. I think women are just naturally more intuitive. We already know a lot of things about our bodies. We already can feel those things happening. We just know. And I hate to say like, oh, we just know, but that is what it feels like. We just know. And now studies are coming out to prove what we already knew for hundreds of years. So just because the study or the data doesn't exist doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means
Mhm.
that it's not had a study done yet. So I like to remind people of that.
I think we're in the age where those studies are going to be a lot more prevalent. But even if you think about, if you Google quantum physics, that's kind of what we're kind of tapping into is energy and how energy affects each other. But people like Joe Dispenza, right? He has a book called Becoming Supernatural. There's actually a lot of data there. So if anyone wants to check that out, they actually did readings of people's energetic bodies and did practices that shifted their energetic centers and how it affected them. And a lot of people that experienced that, they had a lot of chronic health issues and a lot of them got resolved. And we
Mm.
think of energy too. I like to think that a lot of our energy is emotions. And when we think about chronic illnesses that come up, there's usually a a point in someone's life where they had like a very traumatic thing happen to them or a really big experience for them, and then their chronic illness kind of came up. And that's what we see too, like a lot of women have a lot more chronic illness than men because we have generationally suppressed ourselves and not been able to get angry. I think that's like a huge thing is get angry. I feel like men are so encouraged to get angry and like punch stuff and whatever, right? And women were not allowed to get angry. It's not something that is, you know, womanly. It's all these labels that we put on stuff. And I think that a lot of women deal with more chronic illnesses because we've suppressed so much emotion. If you look at studies, right? I think another person that talks about this too is Dr. Gabor Mate. Has anyone heard of him?
No.
Beautiful. Oh, okay. All Britt, you would definitely like him. Star of Alan, I'm sure too. But um, Dr. Gabor Mate talks about how do you talk about Dr. Gabor Mate? He just talks about how trauma in your childhood affects you later on in your life. But he has this book called The Body When the Body Says No. And it talks about how all of these emotional experiences get trapped in the body and they come out as physical illnesses. And again, it's like, it's very hard going through health stuff. I know for myself and my own journey, but it is our body speaking to us. It is giving us a physical symptom and something to really tell us to slow down and pay attention. It gets to that point because we suppress so much and our body's just like, pay attention to me, and it will give us something physical and materialistic that we can see so that we pay attention because all emotions we can't see, energy we can't see, and we sometimes will ignore it because it's not so visible and so in our face, right? But that book is very beautiful and it talks about how trauma gets stored in the body and how it can manifest in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to send us him after this because
I
I'm
followed him, so
like,
I'm already like I'm
Arms
on
on
it.
it.
Guy, you'll love his work. He's amazing.
And I know you, when we do energy work together, I think the very first time we did an energy healing session, um, you were talking to me about the heat and the cold. Right. And
Mhm.
if you really think about, like, say you get anxious or stressed and your heart rate rises and you're feeling hotter, like that is energy. And that's why you can feel it around certain people who feel that way. There's new chemicals rushing through your body, like things are being released inside your body, causing this reaction to your physical body. So it's just, I mean, it's just another way to see like that is energy right there. You're creating now heat with your body because you're stressed or you're running away or you're having anxiety or whatever it is because the chemicals are shifting in your body.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, there is so much science to it. We just don't have those documents and those reports to really put into place. But as women, we all kind of know, right? We all
yeah,
feel it. Um, like you said, Valen, with like your pet and just like there's such a loving energy. And as soon as we're around them, we feel better. It's just like having a person too that we don't even have to like talk to each other. But as soon as we're together, we feel better because it's just we're in their energy and we feel it. We feel how they feel. And yeah, that's how we connect as human beings too, is we tap into each other's energies.
can you tell us a time that you experienced a really big energetic shift with a client? I mean, you kind of already explained a little bit with yourself, but maybe even within yourself where you just felt that shift, maybe in a session or in your work that you do?
Yeah, so for with my clients, I think the main thing is just like really providing a space for that they can feel. And I feel like just creating that allows them to feel things they haven't felt in a long time or maybe have stored up. So there is a lot of energetic release that I can physically feel coming from their body. And also just like random tears. There's a lot of random tears that come through. And I think that we think of like crying as something there needs to be like a reason why we cry, like there needs to be a reason attached to it. And sometimes we just need to cry. Sometimes that's also energy coming out of the body. And there may be like trapped emotions from like 10 years ago and they need to come up now. So a lot of tears, a lot of energy release. And for myself too, like working with my energetic centers, which is what I work with my clients as well. I was working a lot with my heart chakra, and this is the time I was like really looking at my relationships and how like I was really stuck in these patterns of like I was avoidant and or sorry, I was anxious and they were avoidant. And I'm like, why is this happening? And I realized it was because I built up these walls around my heart that I didn't fully express myself. I didn't express my needs. I wasn't firm with my boundaries. Like I was the root of why this cycle was happening in my life. And working with that, I kind of like tapped into what emotion was there. And it was a lot of fear, right? It's fear of like losing love or getting hurt again. And just, I had like, when I was doing that energy work, I do get kind of thoughts and visions and things that come up. And I had something come up that was like something that happened when I was really, really young that made me feel really fearful around love and receiving love and accepting love. And having that memory come up, that was the root cause of why I was feeling like that at this time in my life, was that first root of what happened to me when I was younger. So being able to like access that memory, like energy work can, like random memories can pop up from things that we had like stored in us from so long ago. And yeah, just realizing that that was the root cause and really helping heal that with like working with my inner child and talking to them around the fear and all these things that helped that root. And that was the root cause of why um yeah, why those cycles were happening. And even I think like my heart palpitations were a very physical manifestation of all those things that I was holding up around my heart. So yeah, there's a lot of energetic release in my sessions with clients. And yeah, yeah, I think I'm done. Yeah.
I have a question for you. So you mentioned your heart chakra. Do you find with women that you work with who, I don't, do you work with all age groups? Are they mostly in their 20s, 30s? Is it a good mix?
They're usually 20 to 40. That's usually the age group, yeah.
Awesome. So do you find that most women that you work with struggle with their heart chakra more than others, or what?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think our heart chakra is our center, right? If we always talk about, or if we think about, um, the heart is always the center of us. And if we look at the energetic centers, our heart chakra is in our middle, and then we have our throat chakra, then we have our third eye, and then we have our crown chakra. And then below the heart, we have our solar plexus, then our sacral, and then our root. So the heart is the center to all of them. I think when someone is first working with energetic centers, the heart is great to start with because it's easy to connect with our heart a little bit more than other centers sometimes. But I think that when I do see clients, I feel like there's a lot more energy stagnation and things come up in the throat and the sacral. So our throat chakra is our self-expression. It is how we express ourselves to the world. It's how we express our boundaries, our feelings, our desires, everything. And I feel like if we think about generations before us, we weren't allowed to do that. We weren't allowed to express ourselves and say we didn't like something or we were unhappy. And unhappy in relationships, we were really tied to men and our survival depended on them. So it went against our survival by expressing ourselves. So I feel like that is really rooted within ourselves. And there is intergenerational trauma and things that we store within our bodies that like my great great grandmother experienced. So I feel a lot of stagnation there. And then if you think about the anatomy of your throat and your larynx, it's really connected with the anatomy of your womb. You can like Google a picture of both of them. They're very, very similar. If we think about our sacral chakra, so it's our womb space, um, if we're not expressing ourselves in our sexuality, or that's our space of like creativity as well, and creating and birthing things, if we are not fully expressing ourselves in the world, which is from our throat chakra, we're probably not fully expressing ourselves in other areas too. And they just really connect with each other. So I feel a lot if one person has like more energy stagnation in their throat, maybe there is a little bit in their womb too, and they kind of interchange with each other. But I just think it's because as women, we've been suppressed for so long with expressing our needs and our desires. And everyone also that I see is very different. Depends how we grew up. It depends on so many factors. And everyone's energy always changes. If I see, like, for example, Britt, when I first did a full energy healing session for her, like 5 months ago or whatever it was, and I felt her energy then. And then we did one pretty recently, and I felt a huge difference just because we're experiencing different things in our lives. We're going through different seasons of our life. So it really depends on that. But those are the two that I find more blocked just because I feel like it's a lot of intergenerational trauma that comes up in our reality.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and for sure it was this last session. Now I remember very clearly, like it for sure was this last session that you said there was a lot going on in my throat. And I remember because after that I was like, I need to start speaking up more. I need to start sharing what I really want to share more. Like, because that to me is like my authenticity. I still like blanket to some degree because I don't want to express something that's going to hurt someone's feelings or, whatever it is, especially like being on social media all the time. But then by doing that, I'm suppressing myself and my authenticity too. So I've ever since that session, I'm like, no, I have to be more open to doing those things and I have to really express my needs and my feelings and my happiness and my joy, like all the things. Like don't hold back on that. So
Yeah, I had your notes here and I just looked and you're right. It was our last session. And yeah, it's always tapping in with ourselves and seeing what we need most in the moment, and that's always going to shift and always going to change. Yeah, we're all very in tune with ourselves and how we're feeling. Sometimes we don't like to accept it and don't like to acknowledge it because it sometimes feels better to keep it lower and to keep it away because sometimes it's hard to face what we're causing for ourselves sometimes. And I'm not talking about you, Britt, I'm talking in general, but yeah.
Well, I know well, pretty much all of us work with women primarily, and a lot of my clients have these high stress, high demanding jobs. So I was wondering, how do you help someone? Well, in a quick background with us, we do a lot of that mindset work. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, I love, done a lot of his research to help my clients transition in that way. But for you and with energy healing from within, how would you recommend someone manage their stress around like food and work and their body goals in general?
For sure. So I always think like what is something that's going to help you in the moment? Like other some people love staying still and like meditating, but also sometimes you just need to move and get that energy out of your body and sometimes you need to punch a pillow and scream and go for a walk and scream off the edge of a cliff. Like sometimes we need to do these very primal things. If we think about animals, right? And animals getting stressed out and like let's say like two cats are fighting because I have two cats and so they sometimes fight. I'm just thinking about them. But um when they fight, they also separate and they'll shake and they'll do things to regulate themselves. And if you think of kids, right? Kids they regulate their nervous system really well. They do really like weird things that were like relax, you don't need to do those weird things. But like they'll shake and they'll make noises and they'll do things to regulate themselves and we just grow up that way, like of saying like it's something you do when you're younger, but sometimes we just need to shake, we need to move. I like dancing if I'm having like a little bit anxiety around something just to like shake my body out. That's why somatic movement is so, so important. And then sometimes we need stillness to connect with our intuition, to connect with our heart and what it's saying. But there's always like an energetic practice that I give to my clients to do when they want to. A lot of people really want to protect their energy going out because I know a lot, we pick up on a lot going out to work, going outside, around a lot of people. Sometimes we can feel like really drained going back home. And there's a way that we can actually protect ourselves from that a little bit more and keep our energy not leaking or like keeping it really around us and doing a protective barrier. So if you want, we can do a little practice there if you want.
I
Yeah,
love that.
that would be
Okay.
super helpful.
Yes, we need it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep our feet on the ground and everyone can follow along too. And you can close your eyes if you want, or you can keep your eyes open and maybe looking at something like 3 or 4 feet in front of you. And you're just gonna keep your spine tall so that your shoulders are in line with your pelvis. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our hands on our belly and we're gonna breathe in from our belly and try not to breathe in from our chest. We're gonna breathe in for 4 seconds together and then exhale for four. So we're gonna do that together. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. Great. Two more times on your own, just taking the deepest breath you've taken all day. Out. One more time on your own. Amazing. Just really centering into our breath. And what we're going to do is we're going to imagine a golden or white light coming from above our heads. And it's going to cascade and fall down on the top of our head and our forehead and go over the side of our head, around our ears, over our eyebrows, center of our eyebrows, our nose, our lips, our chin. And it's going to fall down further over our throat. And as it moves down the body, I want you to imagine this sense of relaxation as that honey light energy goes down. Feeling it really soothing your throat, like honey is actually soothing your throat, like when you're sick. And we're going to feel that honey light energy going over our shoulders. So both of our left and right shoulders, over our biceps, our elbow, our forearm, our wrist, the back of the hand, top of the hand, all 5 fingers. Just really feel that honey light energy giving like a heaviness and relaxation to your arms. Feel how heavy they are. Great. And we're going to bring that honey light energy down over to our heart. It's the center of our breastbones. And we're going to bring it over our back as well as it goes to the front. So just covering the back of the heart and moving our way down to the space above our belly button and middle back, the space below our belly button and our lower back. Just feeling a nice relaxation here, nice warming energy. And we're going to bring that honey light energy over our hips and the bowl of our pelvis. And continuing to breathe, we're going to bring the energy down our legs, just like we did with our arms. So moving over our thighs, our knees, our shin and calf, ankles, top of the foot, bottom of the foot, all 5 toes. And we're going to imagine that honey light energy falling from our feet to the ground beneath us and kind of seeping into the ground, feeling like a steadiness between your feet and the ground, and feeling how heavy your legs are and how relaxed they are. Great. And what we're going to do is bring our attention back up to the crown of our head, the top of our head, seeing that honey light energy falling down and how it's covered our entire body all the way down to our feet and sinking into the ground. Feeling that tether and like a tie between the space above your head and the bottom of your feet. And we're going to take 2 deep breaths together from the belly again, breathing in for 4 and out. And one more time, breathing in and out. Great. And when you're ready, you can come back. Amazing. How are we all feeling?
Much better.
Yeah.
Very light. Like I
It's
can
really, sorry, say again?
Oh, me, I'm feeling very light, like I can float.
Mostly light, but ladies, my husband and I just moved into a new house, so I apologize if you hear rustling around while we're
Didn't hear anything.
amazing.
But good, I'm glad. Yeah, it just really centers our nervous system too. And that honey light energy, while we do that, we don't have to do it that long either. You can quickly just do it in like 10 seconds. Like imagine it falling down. And that honey light energy can be a protection over your body. You can even imagine it as like a bubble around your body. So I do that before like I leave the house, or I do it when I'm feeling a little anxious or there's something coming up, and it just really centers my body. I feel like we all kind of feel centered right now and feel good. And it just really, yeah, just supports us in whatever we're moving through, but especially when we're going out into the world and just providing like a little protective barrier around ourselves, it really does make a difference. I encourage the 3 of you to try it and let me know after if you're going to like a party or if you're going somewhere, try doing it before you go and see the difference in your energy as you come back home and see if like you feel less tired, like try to do like a little experiment.
Yeah, thank you for that. Especially how, we know that we can just shorten it a little bit because I know a lot of my gals are going from like meeting to meeting
Oh
and
yeah.
that's
It does
perfect.
not it does not need to be that long. You can literally just short form that
Yeah,
like you can like zoom down your body. It doesn't have to be so slow, but I want to go through all the pieces.
loved it.
I remember the first time I did that with Tirza, and I was like, I told her I felt a little claustrophobic because like my thought was like I'm sticky with honey. And I was like, no, I don't like that. I was like a little bit resistant to it, but like now that I've gone through it a few times with her, by myself, even just right now, like I've really leaned into it and I've sort of just like feel like a more warm and cozy vibe to it for sure. So,
Yeah, it's also how we feel in a day. If you also don't connect with the honey light energy, you can just do like fluffy energy or light energy and something that's very spacious and not directly on your body and kind of outwards. Yeah, just always make it your own too, right? It's just like meditating or whatever. It's doing what works for you, what feels good for you. It's not going to be the same for everybody.
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else like you feel the listeners should know or that we should know about energy work and how to like protect our own energy or anything like that before we go?
That's a good question. I think what comes up a lot, and a lot of people say, is they're like scared to do energy work because they don't want to invite any unwanted things around them. I think that's like something that comes up a lot. And all I have to say about that, it's exactly how it is with boundaries with people, is if you have boundaries energetically and you create a boundary within yourself, even just like I said before, like having an intention and just only inviting good things in, that's only what's going to happen. Nothing bad will come in. Um, yeah, I feel like that's something every people say is like they're kind of scared to go into energy work or do something like that. But it's not something, if you have good boundaries and you just, we set that intention together before we start, it doesn't happen. I haven't had any of those experiences with my clients because we're very intentional about what we're doing and how we're supporting each other. But also, I feel like if someone's on the border of trying energy work, just really keep an open mind and just try it once and see how you feel, right? And not every session is going to be the same. I think like with like one of my clients, the first session we did together was very like really big. Like they had like um someone come in from their family that passed and they got to talk to them again a little bit and it was very big, like it was very woo woo to be honest, and then the next time it was just like a nice warming energy that happened. It's all different all the time, but I really encourage people to keep an open mind and to look into those science pieces like I mentioned, to look at Gabor Mate and Joe Dispenza and look up all the things that have come up already around energy and just to try it and see how you feel with it. Also, if someone doesn't vibe with it, that's totally okay. Um, to each their own, and it might not be on their specific path, but I know that for my experience with myself, it really, really helped me, and it's helped a lot of my clients, providing that missing piece to their healing and really connecting with the energetic body and the emotions and getting stuff flowing again. So yeah, I think that's just one thing I wanted, one little myth that I feel like everyone thinks about before they do things like this. But yeah, just keeping an open mind. We don't know what we don't know, right? And I think like even if you think about like our science textbooks, like they've changed so many times in the last 5 years. And things that I learned when I was a kid in science textbooks aren't true anymore. They've like
It's
debunked it.
so
They're like,
wild.
yeah, like we don't know anything. Like we're literally learning as we go. And I think that quantum physics, energy healing is going to be a bigger thing later on. And if you think about like our ancestors and what they did, if you look at indigenous practices, it's a lot of energetics. It's a lot like traditional Chinese medicine is all energetics. And I think the blend of Eastern medicine, which is traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda even, is very energetic. And if we connect that with Western medicine, I think that's where the sweet spot is when we're going about physical symptoms and healing our bodies and healing our hearts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize really quickly again, you've said it a few times, keeping an open mind and then also tying it to the whole intent thing with our boundaries is if you do try something like this that you've always kind of been apprehensive about, if you don't go into it with an open mind and you don't go into it with intent and you're like this isn't going to work, if you go into it thinking this isn't going to work, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for you because you're already blocking yourself from it to begin
Receiving.
with. So just that open mind and that intent goes with trying anything really,
Yeah.
whether it's energy work or anything in life. And I feel like that's really important to emphasize in this.
Yeah, and to your point, I was as Tyrzah, am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah.
Tyrzah, thank you so much for being here again. But as you were speaking, I'm like, and I think a lot more people are actually practicing this and they think maybe subconsciously it's kind of like that old age saying of like what you put out into the world is what you receive. And I am such a firm believer in that. And so many people I talk to as well. So then when they're also calling it woo woo, I'm like, but you're kind of already living in this space. So you explained it beautifully. And thank you again for being here.
Problem. Yeah, you're definitely right. I feel like a lot of people are doing this thing already, and I feel like manifestation is such like a big word nowadays too, and we're all doing that. And it's exactly what Britt said too. It's like if we're dating, right, and we're going out and we're like, oh, everyone I meet is like XYZ. The only people we're gonna meet is gonna be people that meet that
Mhm.
equation, right? We
Yeah.
we attract that with our own energy, right? Because we're only willing to accept that or we think that way is like that's an energetic thing as well and we become a match to that type of energy and we'll attract that. It's the same thing with manifestation. And yeah, it's just like it's nice to look at it in a different way, but with all this manifestation talk, it is energy work. And yeah, just keeping our mind open with intention, it's really, really important. Before I see any clients, I always ask them to, like, before they even come in, like, grab a journal or something and write down their intention of what they want to receive from the healing experience. And then checking their journal after and see what they wrote down and what it comes up. There's a lot of matches with what your intention is and what you want to happen or what you want to come through. There's a lot of similarities. So exactly what you said, Britt, it's like if you're like, this isn't gonna work, it's probably not because you're blocking yourself, right? Yeah.
And then, Tirza, before we go, can you let the listeners know how and where they can find you?
Of course. So I'm on Instagram at I am Tirza M. You can find me there. And honestly, just Instagram. I like Instagram. It's my favorite. Yeah, I love
And
it.
we'll put her tag in the show notes so that you could spell that.
Follow her, ladies. She's amazing. Amazing.
It was so nice meeting you all. I love Star Fallon. If you'd like to, if you want to try an energetic session, I'm more than open to do that too. Britt, we can always do one for sure, right?
Yes. Girl, count me in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we look forward to speaking with you soon again. And we really appreciate your time and opening up during this episode.
Really.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It's so fun.
Thank you.
Bye, Tirza. Thank you.
Bye.